Hello again, friends. This is Dave of JavaCodeJunkie.com and welcome back to another JavaFX tutorial. In this video, we're going to learn how to use the JavaFX Spinner class. The spinner is a single-line text field that lets the user select a number, a string, or an object value from an ordered sequence. Spinners typically provide a pair of tiny arrow buttons for stepping through the elements of the sequence, and the keyboard up and down arrow keys can also cycle through the elements. Combo boxes provide similar functionality, but spinners are sometimes preferred because they don't require a drop-down list that can obscure important data, and because they also allow for features such as wrapping. So enough talk, let's start coding. I've already created a new project and also created a grid pane that will be the root of our scene graph. So let's create a spinner. The spinner class is a generic class, and we have to specify the type of all of the values that will be iterated by our spinner. Let's create a spinner that will iterate through some integer values. Spinner, integer, spinner equals new spinner. And there are a number of different options. The one that I'm going to use for this example allows us to enter the minimum, the maximum, and the initial value for our spinner object. Let's say for the sake of example that we're going to create a spinner that will iterate through the values 1 through 10. So our minimum value is going to be 1, our maximum value is going to be 10, and I'll say our initial value is going to be 5. Let's now add that spinner to our grid pane. Root.add spinner, and I'll add it to column 0 and row 0 of our grid pane. We can run the program at this point. Right-click on the project name, run as Java application, choose main as our entry point. And here's our spinner. So we have the text area with our initial value of 5, and we have the arrows, the up and down arrow that will allow us to iterate through the values that we've specified as the minimum and maximum. So in this case, 1 through 10. So using the down arrow, we can go backwards from 5 to 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then using the up arrow, we can go through all the way up to 10. But you'll notice as well that 10 is as high as it goes, and it does not at this point wrap around, so we can't, for example, hit the up arrow one more time when we're at 10 and have it start over at 1. There is, however, a property, it's called wraparound property, that controls whether or not we can wrap around that value from the highest then back to the lowest that we're going to iterate through with our spinner. So let's look at how we would set that. Spinner dot get value factory dot wraparound property dot set true. This should now allow us to iterate from the highest number, then wrapping around back to the lowest number in our list of values. So 5 through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more click should take us back down to number 1. And there we go. And so if we were to just continue doing that, we would continue to wrap around and wrap around. Same thing when we're going back down through number 1. Another click will take us around to the highest number, to 10. One other thing that we can do with a spinner is to actually set the position of these arrow buttons. Currently, we have the default position for the buttons, where the increment button is in the top right and the decrement button is in the bottom right. To change how those spinner arrow buttons are displayed, we'll say spinner dot get style class dot add spinner dot, and we will choose one of these 5 different choices. So we can have the arrows on the left and make them horizontal. We can have the arrows on the left and they can be vertical, and that means one on top of the other. We can have the arrows on the right horizontal, or we can split the arrows horizontally so that one is on the left of the text area, the other right, And finally, split them so that the arrows are above and below the text area. So let's choose, for example, the split arrows horizontal. We'll run. And here you can see now that the buttons are positioned to the left and to the right of our text area. So to increase, we go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with the button on the right. Still wraps around, and the same with going backwards through the list, the button on the left. If you enjoyed this video, please like and consider subscribing to see more JavaFX videos when I release new content. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, stay safe and keep on coding.